what is clearly unprecedented times for the city of Augusta. Like so many of you, I'm concerned about the novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. The city of Augusta, along with our community partners, that includes the Georgia Department of Public Health, along with our healthcare partners here in the city of Augusta, are continually working to ensure your health and safety as this virus continues to spread across the great state of Georgia, around our nation, and now here in the city of Augusta. Today, I, along with the leaders who stand with me, have taken several steps to protect the health of everyone in our city. Today, we are here for the express purpose of declaring a local state of emergency within the city of Augusta due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the governor's most recent state of declaration of emergency for public health concerns. As a result of this local state of emergency declaration, effective today, we are suspending public access and activities at all recreation facilities, government buildings, and community centers until April the 1st. This will include the event permitting policy to indefinitely suspend the approval of permits for public gatherings. City of Augusta permitted, sponsored, and produced public events through the Recreation and Parks Department are hereby suspended until April 1st. All Augusta Public Library branches will close until April 1st. City of Augusta senior centers will be closed to the public until April 1st. All travel for City of Augusta employees is hereby restricted. Nothing slows the spread of COVID-19 as effectively as social isolation. As frustrating as it might be for all of us, there are decisions that we have arrived at that are not easily made, and we know for many of our citizens, and to include many of us here, they are frustrating, but we have a responsibility to act in the best interest of everyone's health and safety. That goes for our employees too. Today, the City of Augusta began implementing continuity of operations plans that have been prepared by our department heads under the direction of Interim Administrator Jarvis Sims and EMA Director Chris James. The co-ops allow for some telecommuting in order to reduce the number of employees in city offices and facilities at any given time. And please know that core city services will continue. Services such as trash pickup, police, and fire services will not be reduced, as well as water will continue to be provided to all of our citizens. Working in concert with our Marshal's office, and we are very appreciative of Marshal Lampkin, there will be a 60-day moratorium on residential evictions in the city of Augusta that has been effected today. In addition to that, there will be a 60-day moratorium on water cutoffs for citizens who are in dispute, and to ensure, again, the health, welfare, and safety of all of our citizens. Like most of us here, it's important for us to refrain from large public gatherings. Just moments ago, the White House issued new guidance this afternoon recommending that people not gather in groups larger than 10. I want to urge our local businesses to act in accordance with those recommendations, as we will for the City of Augusta operations. Stay home if you're sick, and call your primary care provider before coming to walk-in clinics or emergency rooms. Wash your hands, disinfect hard surfaces, avoid physical contact, because the safety and health of our community and our employees are the top priority, and we appreciate everyone's patience during this difficult time. Our government is here to continue to serve the people of the City of Augusta, and we're taking every precaution that we can in order to limit the spread of the virus in our community. At this time, we'll take questions.
How do you all plan to follow up with local businesses and ensure that the 10 or more recommendations followed?
Again, it's very difficult, just as it is across the country. These are recommendations that just moments ago came down from the White House as they're publishing a new set of guidelines. On Sunday night, many of us are aware of the fact that the CDC had new recommended guidelines of just 50. So within a matter of 24 hours, we've gone from 50 people to 10 people. The goal is to ensure that we are maintaining social distancing. That is the key to, again, flattening the curve and ensuring that we can slow down the spread of the COVID-19 virus in our community. That's the approach that we're going to take. We're urging the media and our public to ensure that we're taking these precautionary measures. It certainly is impacting businesses in a way that we never thought would happen in our community, but out of an abundance of caution, we're urging our businesses and our partners to comply with the guidelines that have come from the federal government. Next question.
You mentioned how it's affecting our local economy. Is there anything that you or the commission are going to be able to do to help these local businesses and small, store owners who are going to take a hit from, potentially having to close?
Well, we're very fortunate that Congress has chosen to act. The first step was that President Trump worked with Congress to push forward an $8.3 billion legislative package that would allow for the private sector to support efforts like this, making sure that there's resources to support businesses. Currently going through the Senate, the House passed it on Saturday, was the $40 billion legislative package that provides for parental leave. When you think about the fact that schools across this country, and certainly here in Georgia, most recently on Sunday, our Richmond County Public Schools issued the notice that they were closing effective today. That $40 billion will be through grant processes, through the Department of Homeland Security, through FEMA, working in concert with our Emergency Management Agency under the direction of Chris James. We will be eligible to receive those grant dollars as soon as they pass that package in Congress. We feel very confident that that's going to happen. And currently in the legislature, Governor Kemp is working through a special session that's still in session today. There's $100 million that was put in the amended budget to help the state of Georgia and communities like ours to support businesses and making sure that they're able to continue to move forward. And as our governor indicated, we're going to come back from this time rocking and rolling in the state of Georgia, having a very robust economy. So those resources are going to be made available to businesses and communities all across the 159 counties in the state of Georgia.
Right, and with that being state and federal funding that you were discussing, is there anything that the commission here locally might be discussing as far as the money that we have right here to help, Richmond County?
Well, that's why we're meeting on tomorrow. There are a series of things that we're going to present for the commission. We believe, again, based on conversations that we had as late as Friday afternoon, that CDBG dollars are available for us to help our local businesses. Those dollars are available to be used in the private sector, and we're going to have that conversation on tomorrow. When you look at the fact that we, through this emergency declaration, are going to be able to waive fees and those things through the permitting process and so forth, I think those things, even in its most basic sense, will allow us to continue to move businesses forward in Augusta, Georgia.
Kind of follow up to that with, speaking about large gatherings and social distancing being important. I know this weekend we had Spring Fest downtown. Lots of people came and gathered. People were out and about at the bars and restaurants over the weekend. Is there anything that you guys are going to be putting down, saying, to keep people from gathering like that?
Well, I think it's somewhat imprudent and to do that. Many of you may remember from the media, and I know these leaders do as well, that on Wednesday we were talking about mass gatherings of 500 people. On Saturday we were talking about 250 people. Today we're talking about 10. The nature of this epidemic, this pandemic as we know it today, is so fluid that I don't think it's prudent for us to codify a number when the reality of it is every one of us should make a decision to practice social distancing and look for opportunities. As we've said here today, all public sponsored, promoted, and produced events by the city of Augusta from a recreation and parks perspective, all of our government buildings and or facilities are going to be closed to the public. We will be communicating the same thing to those who would want to come tomorrow to the commission meeting that'll take place at 2 o'clock. We're urging all of our residents to remain at home and to follow us through live stream. Out of an abundance of caution, We will be prohibiting public access into the building. Again, that starts today, so that when we're conducting the business of the people, they are able to watch it via live stream. Out of an abundance of caution, we see that there are 2 presumptive positive cases already in Augusta. Because testing is now more widely available and accessible, including here in Richmond County, it is important for us to maintain that social distancing in every arena, whether that be in the workplace, whether that be in social settings and or gatherings. And if we do that, we'll flatten the curve and help stem the tide in terms of the spread of the virus.
Some local jurisdictions have taken steps to close bars.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you not decided to do that?
Well, again, I think out of an abundance of caution, we're just talking about 24 hours. In Atlanta, they issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency, and it indicated 250 people. Later that night, CDC says, we think that number should be 50. Before we walk down here, the president, as he stands on the screen today, says that number should be 10. What I would anticipate is that we're likely going to see a preemptive measure coming from the White House, where we will perhaps find ourselves at a place that this nation has not seen, where there potentially could be a mandatory quarantine across this entire nation. I don't know that to be the case, but I think we're heading in that direction.
So you prefer to have them take the step rather than go ahead and proactively do that here?
I think that we are going to continue to follow the guidelines out of an abundance of caution of trying to codify something that then the federal government comes and says, we're going to mandate that there's a quarantine of all citizens. Again, as we walked down here, we had language that was prepared to say 50, but we struck that because it changed as quickly as we were walking down here.
As you said earlier about testing being, more readily available, is that something that, as our first responders, as you and, people that are continuing to have to do work and be out of their homes are doing, is that something that you guys are going to, possibly be doing, to make sure that you're also?
Well, I think it's, as Dr. Fauci, who's helping to lead this conversation, has indicated, everybody doesn't need to be tested. That's certainly one of those myths that's out there and a misnomer. Everybody does not need to be tested. What we do know is that as testing becomes more readily available, those individuals who are experiencing the symptoms, the first thing that they should do is pick up the phone and call their primary care providers and go through a series of answering those questions before they walk into a prompt care facility or an emergency room, because they may be able to get help in advance of showing up and thereby spreading the virus. And so I think that as it relates to our first responders, the most important piece, as our emergency management director will be leading the health component in our first response, working in partnership with GEMA. That is also what the Declaration of Emergency provides for. That as Chris James leads those efforts, he will ensure that his staff, his team, has the appropriate PPE. I believe that all of our public safety and our law enforcement personnel, to include our marshal's office, our sheriff's agency, and our emergency management through our fire department, will need to have the appropriate PPE. And that is what, from a commission and a governing body perspective, we're going to make sure that they have the resources necessary to execute and to provide for the health, welfare, and safety of all of our citizens.
As
Final question.
Okay, as grocery stores are being, raided by people are being told, to stay home, to do the social distancing. What, for those people out there who are listening to you right now who are scared and, really anxious about this, what do you have to say to them? Well,
as I've consistently said over the last week, 2 weeks, that it's important for us to move beyond the place called fear. It's important for us to move beyond the anxiety and the unrest. And I know that's sometimes difficult for people to do when you don't know, when there is uncertainty. But I believe that in Augusta, we have a tremendous healthcare consortium through all of our hospitals and other providers. In the event that there is a case, as we know that there are 2 presumptive cases here, we have the healthcare resources to make sure that people get the care that they need. And so because of that, I would urge our citizens that it's not necessary to go and purchase all of the masks that they have at the stores. It is important to make sure that you have hand sanitizer and wipes. It is important to make sure that you have the basic resources that you would need every single day, independent of whether we were tackling the issue of COVID-19, but out of an abundance of caution, practicing general personal hygiene, i.e. washing your hands before, after a meal, making sure that you sanitize your hands and our hard work surfaces. Doing those basic things go so far in terms of flattening the curve and stopping the spread of the coronavirus. If we do those things every single day, if you cough, put your mouth in your elbow, do those things that are necessary. If we do that, we're going to get our arms around this issue as they work towards a vaccine, and we're going to be better for it in Augusta and in the state of Georgia and the nation.
Mayor,
Thank you.
what about garbage and recycling? Is that going to continue without interruption?
Absolutely. As I said earlier, Susan, when we implement, as of today, the continuity of operations plans, those services will continue as they are today. Trash service, our police, our fire, our water, they will continue just as they have, independent of the COVID-19 issue. Thank you.